Hello and welcome to another episode with Chat with Ty. Today we're diving into a new series called Talking Sports. Episode 1 is going to be on baseball, and today I have the honor to introduce Henry Lenenberg. Went to high school with Henry. He's from Washington. He's been playing baseball pretty much his whole life. Played first base at Yakima for the past 3 years. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Henry? Tell us a fun fact about yourself.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for having me, first off. Yeah, like Tyler said, I'm Henry Lenenberg. Currently go to University of Washington studying mechanical engineering, but played baseball at Yakima Valley Community College for 3 years. Fun fact, really like mountain biking now.
Tell me a little bit about your journey and story with baseball. So how did you start and why did you start playing baseball in the first place?
Yeah, well, I started playing, I think in third grade, probably. It wasn't the first sport I played. I was into soccer at first. But I think my dad suggested that I try baseball, and I did, and I enjoyed it. Started getting really into it in middle school, started following like major league teams and playing more competitively. And then in high school, obviously played on the high school team and played summer ball and travel ball. Started training more year round. Yeah.
All right. Pretty much you started with soccer and then decided that you're not built for running, which we both are, and decided to play baseball. So tell me a little bit more about your experience with travel ball. Did you enjoy the process? How much work did you have to put in? I don't know if you have any knowledge on the potential or the cost related with playing travel ball. So tell us a little bit more about your experience with travel ball, the pros and cons.
Yeah, so pretty sure I started travel ball freshman year of high school with a program called Northwest Prospects, and they had an indoor training facility, an old warehouse with turf and a bunch of batting cages. So we would typically start training, I would say like October, November, and then it was only a couple days a week in the winter, getting batting practice, taking ground balls. And then it would really start to pick up closer to baseball season after the high school season was finished. And then we'd play a bunch of tournaments. We participated usually in some sort of league. So we'd play those games during the week and then usually have a tournament on the weekends. In terms of cost, I don't know for sure. I think it's a couple $1,000 for the whole program, but I would say it's definitely worth it if you're trying to improve and actually become a good baseball player. Because at a small high school like Charles Wright, where I went, the instruction and coaching is nowhere near the caliber that it would be at a training facility.
So you mentioned the difference in the level of expertise and training intensity between regular high school and travel ball. Can you tell me a little bit more about why there's a difference, like how they were different? Is it because of the people, like the coaches, the quality of the coaches, or the intensity and the duration that they have?
Yeah, okay. That's a good question. Well, I guess starting with the coaches, all of our coaches at NPA played collegiately or professionally pretty much. So right away, that sets the bar a little bit higher. Our high school coaches weren't, one of them played collegiately and professionally, but so overall, just the level of coaching, they know a lot more about the game, and they know how to teach it. In terms of the players, it attracts more talent, I would say. And on the high school team, pretty much anyone can show up and give it their best shot and play. But on a travel team, a lot of the times you have to try out to make the team. So that it limits the number of people that can play, and you really should be dedicated and wanting to get better and play at the next level. In terms of practices, I would say you get so many more reps. I mean, you could be hitting in the cages for an hour and a half, get well over 100 swings. And if you do that and accumulate that many reps, it's bound to pay off. You're bound to improve. And you wouldn't get that just through playing high school baseball. Shorter time period and not getting as many reps in throughout the whole year, pretty much.
That's very interesting to learn. So let's move on to college ball. After high school, you decided to pursue playing baseball in college at Yakima. What prompted you to make that decision, and what was it like to be playing in college?
Yeah, so by making that decision, I really liked baseball and I didn't want to give it up at that point. I had plenty more left in the tank, and Yakima seemed like a really good fit for me. It allowed me to knock out a lot of my undergrad requirements because I was planning on majoring in engineering, and it was also a very competitive program for community colleges. They moved a lot of players on, and that was my goal initially, entering college to transfer to a bigger school. And it was pretty close to home. So all around, it just seemed like a really good fit for me. Really liked the coaches and the area. In terms of like getting used to the level of play and how things run in a college program, it was certainly a bit of a culture shock, I would say. There's not a whole lot of messing around. Like, you got to be on your shit, and I liked that, but it also stressed me out a little bit. It was intimidating being around some pretty high level players. I remember walking into the locker room my first day and looking to my left, seeing what looked like a 40-year-old man with back hair and a full beard. Look to my right, see another full beard, jacked triceps, and like this big dude. And I was intimidated for sure, but I'm very, very glad that I stuck with it. After my first year, it was a blast. Improved a ton as a player, and learned a lot. So yeah, the first few months are tough. It's usually tough for anyone in college, but once I got used to the program and the people, came close with the coaches, it was a lot of fun.
Amazing. It is really nice to hear that whatever you do, whatever you go to college for, it's always very intense and stressful to try to fit into a different environment, a brand new environment where you don't know a lot of people and you're just trying to constantly adapt. Definitely, I had the similar experience going from a small high school to one of the largest university in the country, and transferring halfway through college and going to a completely new city and experiencing life in a completely new environment. So tell me a little bit more about what your day-to-day training schedule looked like at Yakima.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a really good point. Everybody has a transition period. But in terms of day-to-day stuff, well, once you get there, it's basically fall ball, which includes practice 5 days a week, usually 2 to 3 hour practices, and then lifting outside of that, either before or after. My freshman year, lifting was set up as it was like a team lift. So we were required to all be there at the same time post practice. And then we would scrimmage on Saturdays, usually 2 9-inning games. So that's a lot of time on the field. We would play usually like against ourselves. We had enough players to pull it off, about 40 to 45 guys on the team, and just compete. And that usually goes on for 2 months, I would say. And then in December, we have all of December off from baseball. Usually at that point, it's nice to get a little break. You're still expected to get your reps in on your own and to lift, but no team affiliated practices. And then when we come back in January, it's usually the weather in Yakima is pretty rough, lots of snow. So we do a lot of indoor training, continuing in the weight room, and we would start 6 a.m. practices. We would hit in the cages for about an hour every day. And then during the week, we would still have practice every day in the afternoon, usually a little bit shorter, and it's in the gym. So it's only so much you can do when you're inside, but a lot of bunt defenses, a lot of working on footwork in terms of fielding. Pitchers would throw bullpens, and of course some conditioning on the basketball court. And then once you get to the season, no more 6 a.m. 6 a.m.s last for a couple months, and then they stop doing that once we get outside on the field. It's full go practices. Our in-season schedule usually consists of about 20 non-league games, where we would play doubleheader on Saturday, doubleheader on Sunday. A lot of baseball. That's one thing. If you're playing at a community college, you got to get used to playing a lot, and it's definitely a transition, because in high school you used to 7-inning games, doubleheader maybe, but playing that many innings in one weekend, like it gets to you for sure. You got to be on top of your recovery. And then once those 20 games are done, we usually start league play, where you play a doubleheader on Wednesday, doubleheader on Saturday. Those are pretty competitive games. Like, you're going all out to win, since those games really matter for playoffs. And you usually play about 30 of those. And you usually get one rest day or one full off day during the season a week. So you got to make the most of those. But it's definitely a grind, both physically and mentally. Body definitely starts to wear a little bit. I can't imagine playing 162 games. That's pretty crazy. But they're also not like running as hard in practice, probably. So
you mentioned that you only get like 1 day of rest in season per week. Can you tell me a little bit more about how you were able to recover in just 1 day? And do you have a routine that you do, some ritual and stuff that you go through to help your body recover?
Yeah. So usually also I want to throw in that pre-game practices are fairly laid back, like mostly just taking BP. We would do a drill called 27 outs, where you had to make 27 plays perfectly in a row, otherwise you restart. But that's fairly laid back, just putting the pressure on that you actually have to make the plays. But in terms of recovery days, some people, I don't know, I always did some stretching and foam rolling. I would usually get a lift in on an off day as well, just because I didn't like lifting right before games. I wanted to feel fresh. But Yeah, I was never an ice bath kind of guy. Um, just yeah, some active recovery, foam roll, stretch, light lift. Yeah, the off days were nice.
Definitely feel the active recovery aspect of the things for lifting and stuff, working out and lifting. It's very important to know how to take rest days and when to take them. And a lot of times I feel like my body gets very, very sluggish on Mondays because I have 2 straight rest days if I don't do active recovery. So it's definitely something that I think is important to put into any training schedules in general. You mentioned that now you're going to college at University of Washington, pursuing a degree in engineering. I remember you told me life was a little different, and can you tell me a little bit more about how you were able to adapt to life after baseball and how it's different and how you're able to find your next drive?
Yeah, so in terms of life after baseball, my retirement, I've really enjoyed getting into mountain biking and lifting and finding other ways to push myself and compete and stay active. Just having so much more time throughout the day and not having to worry about recovering for games or for practices or being at peak performance. It's you have a lot more freedom, and it's been really nice finding other ways to still enjoy competing. Play a lot of pickup basketball, and it's nowhere near the same in terms of like level of intensity and stuff. But I would certainly say lifting has filled a void, because with lifting, like, you have to be consistent, you have to be determined to, if you really want to improve your physique. I see a lot of correlation between putting the time in the weight room as like putting the time in the batting cage and taking ground balls. So I would, and also in terms of routine, when you're playing college sports, you have a very set routine. You know when practice is, you know when you need to lift, you know when you need to do schoolwork. And I found that being consistent in the weight room allows me to just stick to a schedule and stay disciplined, instead of getting distracted and wasting my day, you know. So luckily, yeah, there's a lot of mountain biking is another thing, being able to enjoy different stuff that I wasn't necessarily able to enjoy when I was playing.
Definitely. It's always about finding that next thing to fill the hole, you know, kind of like the next journey, the next goal, and just striving towards your next goal. And obviously, I feel the same with establishing a routine and also with lifting. I grew up playing sports as well. I played through high school. I played baseball with you, football, all the other stuff. But due to injuries, I had to retire a little bit earlier than you. But I found joy and reignited my passion for competitiveness in lifting. So that's kind of how I start my day. Most of the day is through getting a good lift in and making sure that I start my day and week off on the right foot so I can get things done and be organized throughout the day. So I definitely relate to that. One more question for you. Since you have played baseball for pretty much your whole life, what's some advice for either someone who's just started playing baseball or someone who's playing travel baseball right now or considering playing, or someone who's considering playing in college? What's, say, 2 or 3 advice that you would give someone like that?
Yeah, that's another good question. One huge thing in college is you gotta be hustling and giving 100%. I think that's one thing that I was able to edge out some competitors on, like earning the starting job, was just that every day I showed up and I gave 100% and did what I needed to do. It wasn't like goofing around, and really listened to what the coaches had to say. Because if you're not hustling, they'll automatically cross you off the list, even if you got a lot of talent. Another thing would just be really be dedicated to your craft and want to improve. Try to find any way you can to improve. I found studying the mental game to be of tremendous help, and putting in a lot of reps in the cages. You have to earn your playing time, no doubt about that. And then I would say lastly, just be a great teammate. That makes a big difference. And the closer you are with your teammates, usually the more fun you'll have. And in Yakima, the culture was like, you're all brothers, and you might not get along outside the field. That's totally fine. But when you're on the field, you better be fully supporting your teammates, kind of rah, like cheering them on and all that from the dugout if you're not playing. There's absolutely no selfish behavior on the team. The more selfless you are, usually that elevates the overall level of play as a team in general. So I guess to summarize it would be always hustle, give your best effort on the field, make sure you're putting in the reps, putting in the work. You can't fake it. If you're not practicing, it'll show. And lastly, be the best teammate you can, and be selfless for the team.
Yeah, definitely. From all different industries, a couple of the things that's very important for success is you have to be committed. You have to have that level of commitment, and also have the right mindset to know what you want and to be able to work towards that goal with the same level of intensity and commitment. And also, it's very important, as working in sports industry or just working in any industry in general, is to always be a team player and create that bond with the people that you work with, and that will generate that synergy that will boost the team as a whole, I guess. Well, thanks, Henry, for coming up and talk about baseball and chat about baseball with me. I definitely learned a lot more about what life is like with baseball and what it takes to be successful in sports or just in general. It's a good start to my new series, Talking Sports. And this is Chat with Ty. I will see you guys next time on another episode with Chat with Ty.